Well, I'm just going to say it. I am a big fan of the actress who is about to join me on this episode. Hear all about her new series, which is just so damn Canadian for an American show, next on Brio TV, the podcast. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Bill Brio. It's been over 3 years since I last spoke with today's guest, Kristin Kreuk, one of my faves. We've watched this Vancouver native pretty much grow up on television, going all the way back to the teen drama Edgemont, through her breakout success on Smallville and later on Beauty and the Beast. I last spoke with her out in Winnipeg on the set of Burden of Truth, a series that was winding down just as COVID began heating up. This fall, she's starring opposite Rossif Sutherland, son of the late great Donald Sutherland and Francine Racette, in the BC-based series Murder in a Small Town, seen weekly on Fox and Global. Please welcome back one of the most popular guests ever here at Brio TV, the podcast, Kristin Kreuk.
How you doing, Bill?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. It's always great to see you. And
it's been a while.
It has been since, I guess, the final season of Burden of Truth, right?
Yeah.
Kristin, you are wildly popular on my podcast.
Am I?
Yes. When we talked last, I've done this for 4 years. You're number 2. You're the second most listened.
Who's ahead of me?
Well, it's Mr. Murdoch Mysteries himself.
Oh, of course. Yes.
but like you're way ahead of Michael Douglas.
Really?
Yeah. So thank you for doing this again.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I watched Murder in a Small Town and really enjoyed it.
You did?
Yes, I did a lot.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It has a different speed. I like that it's very thoughtful, and the two of your performances are wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
You guys are adorable. Like this thing, you are. So it starts, and my God, my brain is exploding. You're sitting in Molly's Reach.
Yes.
And you're with Donald Sutherland's son, Rossif, and you're like, this is the most Canadian opening to
moment
a show
ever.
of all time.
Yes.
Yeah.
But only the funny thing about it, and maybe this is what makes it so Canadian, is only a few Canadians would really appreciate how Canadian it is.
It's crazy Canadian, and you're too young to have ever seen the
Beachcombers?
The Beachcombers, right?
Yeah, no, I never saw it, but I've heard so much about it.
Well, it's a show that was about a bunch of guys looking for logs, right, on the river. Like that's what the show was about. It lasted for like 20 years. There's a great story. Well, I'll take a minute to tell this. Conan O'Brien was before he did his show, his talk show. He was out in BC with his buddy, another writer, and they turned on the TV in their hotel, and there's the Beachcombers. They were hypnotized by it. And they just couldn't. I remember talking to him once. He went on and on and on about the Beachcombers. So anyway, long story short. But your show is about, you're playing a librarian, Cassandra, right?
Indeed.
And
yes.
Rossif is this cop. He's the chief of police in this small town. He's recently transferred from a big city. And so... and by the way, when you were shooting Beauty and the Beast on Kipling there in Etobicoke, Rain was also shooting
next door. They were next door.
So did you know Rossif at that point?
No, but apparently we crossed paths in a hallway in the studio once.
Okay.
So I've been told. I don't remember. It would have been me in my tight jeans, my badge and my leather jacket, and him in some furs.
Okay, so I bet he remembers crossing paths with you, perhaps more than you with him.
I don't know, maybe. Who knows?
Well, he was covered in some furry outfit, right? So,
yes, he was covered in a furry outfit.
It seems like he's just wonderful on the show as well.
Yes.
The two of you, it seems, had a pretty immediate chemistry. Is this something you discovered in a chemistry read before you started shooting, or when did you meet?
We did a chemistry read on Zoom. So, I mean, it was like this, right? And we did the date scene. That's what we did. And then the conflict scene that's in the library later on. And yeah, it was fine. I mean, it's hard to tell when you're doing a read like this. You can't feel people very much, but it was lovely. He seemed, I knew he was a lovely man from the minute I met him on the screen, but we met later on. We did a little mini photo shoot for the salespeople for the show, and we got along great. But really, it was that first day we shot together, and that was the scene that we did, the multiple scenes of the date. Yeah. It's the first thing we shot on the show. It's the first thing the show shot because it set the tone for the show. And it was so much fun. It was the most fun acting I've had in a long time. And also because they're not super conflicted scenes. No. They're just light. They're not full of trauma. They're not, it's just two people trying to get to know each other, and it's awkward, and there's some surprises. We just had a blast, and it was like that the whole shoot. We just loved working with each other. Yeah.
Yeah, it shows. It's very sweet. It's not two teenagers meeting either, right? There's something fascinating about it. You guys are adults, and it's just lovely. I don't imagine, have you ever been in that situation? Have you ever had a speed date, sort of?
No, I've never. I would be terrible at dating. It's just awful. But I mean, Cassandra has the capacity to chat with people. It's part of why she's great at her job. She works with people all the time, and she is at ease teasing him. And I think that's part of what makes the scene work as well, is that she doesn't, whatever authority he carries with his job that she discovers partway through the date, she doesn't really buy that authority. And so she can proceed to kind of poke at him a little bit. And I think that's what makes it fun, and just not the way that I would be in life. If I were on a date like this, I would just be awkward.
Really? You say that, but I think there's elements of you in Cassandra and Cassandra in you, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think it's hard to play a character and divorce yourself from yourself. Mm-hmm. However, I haven't been able to play the goofier parts of my personality I don't know, maybe ever. Maybe. And it's fun to be able to play the freer parts of myself instead of, and there's lots of drama as the scene goes on, and there's things she goes through, and I can pull out all of that stuff too. But it's fun to be able to play and to feel that lightness.
Mm-hmm. Have you made suggestions about the character along those lines?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ian Weir's collaborative and smart and lovely, and I adore him. Mm-hmm. So, we talked a lot. I sent ideas, and he really listens to them, and he really talks out what his thought process is. And we really, I think, created a character who feels like a person, and she's had a life. She's had a rich life. We meet her when she's in her 40s, and she's, gone through things, but she's not tortured, which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And Rossif's character seems not tortured, but his life has had more impact, it would seem, right?
Yeah. He's been through things, but again, we're not, what's different about the show a little bit is that it isn't a tortured cop show. Mm-hmm. He isn't an alcoholic, and he isn't, weighed down with demons. He's a guy who's, gone through a divorce and has a couple of kids who are, getting older, and he has a mother that he lost when he was quite young, and he's got those things, but he's not battling demons in a way. But he's a contained, thoughtful, can be very warm man. Mm-hmm. This character, the way he is a cop is not through intimidation, but through compassion and connection.
Yeah. His dark secret is that he's a painter.
Yes, that's his dark secret, exactly. And that dark secret informs his being a cop, the way that he sees the world, the way that he perceives things. And it's also part of what Cassandra is like when she's ready to give up on him. There are things about him that she's like, oh, but he's not just a cop. That's not that's not the substance of his being, whatever judgment she has about cops, but he is all these other things too. And I think it keeps drawing her in these really beautiful, sensitive parts of who he is, along with his strength.
It's going to be cool to watch and discover. Hey, don't go away. We'll be right back with Kristen Kreuk. Hi, movie lovers. Bill Brio here with news of another TV on Film party screening coming to the Westdale Theatre in Hamilton. The end of October means Halloween, right? The Westdale has programmed the original Ghostbusters as a Saturday afternoon feature. See it in a big theater. Come before the feature, however, and starting at 1 p.m. on October 26, I'll be showing some classic cartoons on 16mm right on the Westdale's big screen. Among them is The Skeleton Dance, a genuinely creepy gem from 1929. I'll also be showing some horror movie trailers, including one from Psycho and another from Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy. As a bonus, come and see a film I made way back in high school. Want to see a film where King Kong climbs up the CN Tower? Come and see Second Banana. Catch the shorts, answer trivia questions, win prizes. Then stick around and watch Ghostbusters, all for the same price. That's Saturday, October 26, 1 p.m. at Hamilton's historic Westdale Theatre. Go to thewestdale.ca for tickets and information. Here's what's heating up the Super Channel schedule this September. Heart and Home premieres Someone Like You. The feature is based on the New York Times bestseller from Karen Kingsbury. After the tragic loss of his best friend, a grieving young architect launches a search for her secret twin sister. The film stars former Degrassi player Sarah Fisher. Another premiere is Devil's Peak, airing on Super Channel Fuse. This is about an 18-year-old who tries to escape his meth-dealing kingpin father and long-suffering mother to run off with the girl of his dreams. You can probably guess which character Billy Bob Thornton plays. Robin Wright also stars. Plus, there are more new episodes of Troppo, the shot in New Zealand series about an eccentric private eye hired to search for a missing tech pioneer. Thomas Jane stars. And remember, Super Channel, an all-Canadian company, is available via most cable providers across the country, as well as streaming live and on demand with Amazon Prime Video channels, Apple TV Plus, and Fubo. And here she is again, Kristen Kreuk. You have the great James Cromwell guesting on the opening. My God, right?
My God.
Yeah, and his performance is outstanding as usual in the show. What was that like working with him?
Oh, he is incredible. The man, I was so impressed with him. I mean, he's in his mid-80s, I think, at this point. He's been doing this job for a long time. He has a huge monologue, an emotional monologue.
Yeah.
In this. And I was working with him the day after that monologue, and every crew member was coming up to say, wow, that monologue you did yesterday was just incredible. And he was so genuine in his acceptance of those compliments. And also he acknowledged that it dug up a lot of stuff for him, that it like brought up, and I was like, this is a man who's still going deep, who's still finding those parts of the human psyche and parts of himself that he's pulling into the role. And it was so heartening to watch. And also he's a genius. He's very smart. He's politically engaged, and he cares and he's interested in people. So he's constantly engaging with everybody. And I was just very impressed with him. Also, it was fun to work with him. We had one of our big scenes was cut because it was originally 2 episodes, the first episode.
Oh, okay.
And so we had a scene together that was cut, but he was stunning in it. Stunning. Yeah.
Well, it must have been fun for you. He does seem that way. On that scene you're referring to is very interesting. I noticed it was shot like at different angles, and I thought James Cromwell, great actor, but it's getting up there. It's very hard to ask somebody to memorize.
No, he went through. He did the whole thing. Yeah,
that's what I was wondering. I was really curious because. Yeah. He's a great actor, but boy, that's a challenge. So good for him. Yeah. No, you're all great on it. Now, these are based on a series of books. Have you read anything of L.R. Wright, I guess is the author, right?
No. So I chose not to read the books because, remember, I mean, they're from the 80s. She started writing them in the 80s, and they take place, obviously, on the Sunshine Coast. But I wanted to give Cassandra life that wasn't, in my mind, like kind of contained by the books. I wanted her, whatever was on the page of the script I wanted to use, and then give her a very modern sensibility because I've been reading the audiobooks. So I've been doing the Cassandra POV sections of the audiobooks that have come out, and it's been really fun because I've never done audiobooks before.
Wow.
So I've been reading them as I'm going to do a little sort of book club on my Instagram for the first book.
Nice.
So I'm going to read the whole thing, but as I read it, there's stuff in there that feels like we've really, like Cassandra gets really obsessed about her weight, or she gets like, there are things that we just wouldn't have in books as much anymore. So I'm glad I didn't read them before the show started, but I'm really happy I'm reading them now. And in the first book, there's these scenes between George and Cassandra, the ones that you see in the show, and they're so moving. I remember at one point reading, because I had to read George's voice too, reading these lines and just like basically being in tears, like just trying to stop myself crying while reading the audiobooks. Yeah. It was really powerful.
Well, she's a very today woman, and knowing, but also knowing what she wants, right? There's that, which is really interesting to see that evolve, even in just the first 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she's clear about who she is.
Yeah.
She's clear about her values. She's not willing to make sacrifices in her life to have, in this case, companionship or love. But I love that she's chosen a path for herself that is very specific. She's like, I care about building this library, building this community. She's been a single woman for most of her life. She's never had a long, in our telling, she's had like one long relationship when she was in her 20s, and that's it. She never got married. She never had kids. She chose this path, and she's come back to this small town, partly for her mom, but mostly because she has a vision for what she wants this community to be. And she loves this community. And it's through the library that she'll have the ability to affect those changes. And I love that that's what she's doing. And that a man is something that would be an addition to her life, should he be the right one. It isn't something that she needs to fulfill her life. And I love that about her.
Yeah, no, it's cool. There's a scene, I don't want to give too much away, but she has an encounter with this detective overnight, and then the next day we see just the one shot sums it all up. She opens the fridge door.
Yes.
And there it is, folks. That's what a guy would have in his fridge: mustard, and maybe a few slices of leftover ham and a can of beer. There it is.
Exactly. She's like, what am I doing?
No, it's awesome. I really like this show. Now let's just catch up on you a bit because, as you mentioned, it's been a few years since Burden of Truth.
Yeah.
And it was awful fun visiting in Winnipeg, where you shot that series.
Yes.
You guys really had a lovely, cozy connection out there, I thought.
Yes.
The crew and everybody. This is shot obviously in BC, closer to home for you, right? So that must be a great perk for this show. That
was part of why it was exciting. Yes, just a ferry ride away.
Yeah, no kidding. Isn't that cool? And in the meantime, now you did live in Toronto a bit. I think you were studying too. Did you get your history degree?
I got my
Queens?
degree.
Way to go!
Thank you. Yeah, my bachelor's degree at 38 years old or whenever it was.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah. So I did that and that was a joy. And I moved back to Vancouver a couple of years ago. And yeah, I've also been like kind of snooping around, seeing if there's some master's programs I want to pursue. And
wow.
So, I've been doing that. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
So playing a librarian kind of works, right? You've probably spent a lot of time in libraries the last little while. Do you have a library card?
I think mine's expired. I don't have a Vancouver library card. I need to get one. But you know what? Even for university now, you don't need to go to the library that often.
That's true.
Everything's archived. It's all archived online, so you can kind of go online librarying. Yeah.
What was your specialty in terms of history? Was it modern, ancient?
No, it was because I did, they don't offer as many courses online because I did it full. I did Queen's University, but I did it as their full online degree, which means that you don't get everything. So my history degree is like quite broad, but there was a lot offered regarding Russian history. I ended up doing a lot about Russia, Soviet Russia, and which I found fascinating.
Wow.
Fascinating.
Yeah. The Tsars.
And a bit of Canadian history, obviously. Less about that, more about more from the revolution to the collapse. Yeah.
Wow. Pretty recent. Wow. Good for you. That's cool. More with Murder in a Small Town's Kristin Kreuk after these short messages. Well, once again, there's a mountain of entertainment for the whole family on Paramount Plus. That's certainly true this month. Not only is Frasier back in the building, but so is Stallone, Dora, and several other favorites. Frasier's sophomore season will see the good doctor return to his radio roots in Seattle for an episode featuring old friends Bulldog Briscoe, Gil Chesterton, and super agent BB Glazier. The fun begins September 19th. On Tulsa King, mob capo Dwight Manfredi, played by Sylvester Stallone, locks horns with neighboring gangsters from the Kansas City mob. Does it all begin September 15th? Absolutely. On the shot in Nova Scotia horror series From, new strangers wander into the nightmarish town, including Canadian cast members Robert Joy and Samantha Brown. Season 3 begins September 22nd. Finally, Paramount Plus's preschool favorite Dora returns for a second season September 13th. Looking for a streaming service with something for every member of the family? Subscribe now to Paramount Plus. Time once again to speak with Emily Gagne from Hollywood Suite. Emily, what have you got for us this month?
Well, I don't know if you've heard, Bill, but it's back to school season, but also back to sports season. So we've got some of the most iconic sports films in movie history back on the channel.
Listen, I hope you have Bull Durham. That's one thing I want to see.
Oh my gosh, we do have Bull Durham, one of the best. But we also have Ron Shelton's White Man Can't Jump. We've also got Karate Kid. We've got Talladega Nights, if you're into NASCAR.
Very good. Those are great films. What else have you got?
Well, if you're not into sports, we can go in a musical direction. We've got September soundtracks. So these are iconic films that have great music in it. So it could be a musical like Finding Girl, or it could be, just a movie that has great music all over it. Yeah.
Well, that's a terrific lineup, Emily, all this month on Hollywood Suite. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Bill.
And we're back. Now, it was, I know you were on episodes of Reacher, but beyond that, did you perhaps step back a bit during the COVID years in terms of acting and things?
Well, we did a season of Burden during COVID. So
wow, that's right. Yeah, at the end.
The final season we did that. And then the next year I did Reacher. And then, I've been working on developing a couple projects and there's ideas here and there. So I'm not I think I told you this before, but I'm not pushing my acting career really intensely. It's not something that I'm not auditioning all the time. I'm not out there like hungry. So I've just been taking it nice and easy, trying to figure out other things I want to do and kind of slowly craft this next chunk of my life,
Yeah, good for you. This is an approach that seems to be working because you've pretty much just done long-running TV series.
I've been very lucky that way, haven't I?
Yeah. Pretty awesome. Beauty and the Beast and Burden of Truth, of course, and then way back. But it's amazing. Now, were you looking when this came up, this opportunity for a series, something like this, or did you know what you wanted?
No, I had been auditioning a little bit for like big streaming shows, and that had been fun. I'd been actually having a lot of fun auditioning, not expecting it to go anywhere, although I got some nibbles on a couple shows, but that was a ton of fun for me, just the auditioning. And it had been a little while before since I'd been on set. So I was like getting a little bit hungry for an acting job because I'd been working mostly on developing and trying to, get projects sold and stuff like that.
Often you hear people say the auditioning part is not fun. I'm interested in your outlook there. I mean, I've heard all kinds of things people say. You walk into it expecting nothing and then you'll do well. What is your approach when you have that opportunity?
Yeah, walk into it expecting nothing, always. I mean, how many jobs have I got off of an audition? Smallville. Reacher, they read me because they weren't, they wanted to make sure. And then this one, they read me. So 3 jobs in my life, I think.
Interesting.
That I've gotten auditions. The rest were offers. And I auditioned a fair amount. So that's it out of all of the jobs. So for me, it's not my best method to getting a job. But I didn't like auditions when I had to go into the room because I get nervous. And a lot of actors are the opposite. I like just being in a room with a camera and I can just play the scene and I don't have to talk to anybody, and I like that part. But I enjoy it. Honestly, if I go in just being like, this is my chance to play a fun scene, because I haven't been acting, I haven't been on set in a while, I can just be free and I can try stuff and there's no risk. Like, what's the risk that I don't get the job? It's fine. If I don't get the job, I'm probably not going to get the job. So I actually feel like I've got better at acting because I've just been auditioning here and there, having fun. I do feel like that's helped me.
Wow, interesting. Well, it shows. It shows. You have some other good guest stars coming up beyond Mr. Cromwell, right? We've got
we have lots of great guest stars: Donna Caddick, Noah Reed, Devon Sawa, Erica Durant. I'm probably forgetting somebody. Lots of amazing. Paula Patton. Lots of great guest stars.
Stana Caddick, I believe, as well. Noah Reed, wonderful guy, right?
Oh, and he's such a good actor. He's stellar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess there's nobody left from the original show about the log catching in BC to come on the set. Although there's 1 or 2 guys left. Constable still with us. He'd probably get a kick out of this show, Jackson. And I just, again, the whole chemistry with you and Rossif is wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, really works. Now, what are you watching on TV these days if you have time? What are you doing?
I just watched Shogun, which I thought was beautifully shot. It's also a BC shot show.
Yeah.
And the acting was gorgeous.
Stunning show.
Really, yeah, I really like that one. There's just too much on TV now. I can't keep up anymore. But I loved Shogun. I thought it was so good.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you saw Michael Douglas's Franklin on. It's a great historical sweeping series as well. Shot in France. It's one I recommend for sure if you like Shogun. Okay. It's about Ben Franklin, and you don't think Mike Douglas with Ben Franklin, but there he was. Back when you were a child growing up in BC in Vancouver, I believe, right? Did you have a favorite TV show back then?
Yes, Star Trek, The Next Generation. That was my favorite TV show. And Captain Picard looked like my father.
Wow.
So that was always fun.
Did he have that voice? Your dad, does he have the Patrick Stewart voice? No one does.
No, but he looks like him. we saw Patrick Stewart, my family, my mom and dad and I were in Amsterdam a bunch of years back, and we were in the Rijksmuseum, and we saw Patrick Stewart with his wife. And we were
really?
Like, it's Captain Picard. And we just only gently followed him around the museum.
Really? Did you talk to him?
Yeah. No, we didn't bug him. We didn't bug the man. We were very subtle.
Wow.
But it was a show that we watched. We would after dinner, it was in reruns and stuff, and I would have my apple pie with ice cream and watch Star Trek, The Next Generation. This is my favorite show.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this at one point. You at one point might have been stepping aboard one of the starships. I think you.
Yeah, I read for one of them for a bunch of times. Yeah, Discovery. I think it was the first new one. I watched the really fun one that shoots in Toronto. The Strange New Worlds.
Yeah,
Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I really liked it. I really liked that one. I thought it was great.
Yeah, Discovery was good too. It got pretty complicated, I thought, but started out.
I didn't end up watching it, but I love Strange New Worlds. I think it's because of the episodic nature of it. It feels very much like the old show where each episode does its own thing and they're exploring something different every episode. I really like that.
And you and your background, in terms of being an action star, you actually trained, right? What was your game?
Karate? I was a gymnast for a long time. Yeah. I did karate for a long time.
Yeah, right.
So I was lucky with that. So when I did the big action-y shows, like even on Beauty and the Beast, I did a lot of action, and on Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li, I did a bunch of action. So I learned because of gymnastics and dance, I learned choreography easily. And then because of my martial arts background, I can kick and I can throw a punch. I'm not incredible, but I'm capable. And because of both of those things, I have good body awareness. So I can do wire work and all that kind of stuff pretty easily. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we're not going to see Cassandra, though, sort of.
I don't think so. She doesn't seem like she's much of a sports gal.
Maybe you have like a fantasy flashback episode or something,
right. Yes.
Something like that. How many episodes are there for A Murder in a Small Town?
There are 8. There were originally 9, but they consolidated 1 and 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it? And it's cool, I'm sure, for you to be on a show that's very Canadian and American, right? Fox and Global.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah, Fox is the one who greenlit the show. Global came on afterward. So it's really a Fox show. And it takes place on the Sunshine Coast, but we have American money, and, it's like
shows,
Gibson's, but it's also, but I meant it like we like as characters, we use American money. Like we're in the Sunshine Coast, America.
Gotcha.
But it is every place. Like we talk about Gibson's and Seashelt, and we talk about places there, and we go to Molly's Reach, and all of those things. But it's, I don't know if they kept it that way, but it's the Sunshine Coast, America.
I'm pretty sure they would take American money at Molly's Reach. I mean,
Molly's Reach isn't open any longer.
Oh, it isn't even a restaurant. Oh, it's because you're using it for a studio.
It's just our set.
Yeah. All right. Wow. Well, wherever the people do grab something to eat in that Gibson's, right?
Lots of great restaurants in Gibson's, folks. If you feel like going out there for a little, there's a great Italian. There are 2 great Italian restaurants. There's an oyster bar. There's a great sushi spot. Listen, it's happening.
Okay, there you are. You heard it first. Finally, do you have an all-time favorite TV theme song?
All-time favorite TV theme song? I mean, I feel like we've talked about this before.
Probably have.
I love the Star Trek theme song. I know that I'm stuck there, but I also, what I love? Maybe I don't love it. I don't remember the theme song exactly. No, I do. The Pachinko.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Everybody's watching that now, right? Mm.
Well, yeah. I saw the first season and I loved the credit sequence and the song that was in the credit sequence. And I would watch the only show I don't say skip intro. I watch the whole thing because I'm obsessed with it.
I have two. I need every time. I really like Only Murders in the Building, and so I just the whole animated opening and the music and everything. I have to watch it every time. I really love it. The other one is Slow Horses. I don't know if you've seen that series, but Mick Jagger sings the theme. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
so
that one's good too.
It's kind of a lost art.
Luther's opening, I love.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Luther's opening song.
Yeah.
I love that one. And Succession, obviously.
But yes. Yeah. What do you listen to otherwise? Do you have a set list?
No, but I was just I was at a convention in Atlanta, big comics, like cosplay convention essentially.
Sure, yeah.
And my friend Eric Johnson was there, who's an actor. He was on Smallville and many other things, but he was obsessed with Chapel Rowan. And so he was playing me Pink Pony Club, and I have become obsessed with that song.
Okay.
I will play it on repeat. I don't know but obsessed. And I really like her. I love that she's so adamant about, claiming her own space and, not having like tie-in fashion lines. And I just think she's an interesting person. I'm
more of a
curious
purist.
to see what she does with her career.
That's cool. Well, those conventions are quite the something. I know you've lived half your life probably attending them, but has that scene changed at all? Or people still, what's that still like when you're attending those? I
actually started quite late because I didn't want to do them for a long time. Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor on Smallville, really convinced me to do them a bunch of years ago. And it's been really fun. They're busy. People love them. And fandoms, it isn't, being a fan of something is no longer kind of looked down upon. It used to be looked down upon, and it's not anymore. And so people who attend conventions, both guests and attendees, like it's lovely, and it's nice to see people passionate about things.
Well, people have a personal connection to the folks they watch on TV every week, right? You come into their living rooms, and it's an intimate thing. Even I like even watching still the Connors because I'm really heartened to see those people 30 years later. There's something about that, and I've gone to some conventions in Burbank, and they're people from the 60s and 70s shows that I enjoyed as a youngster, and that connection stays with you, right? So it's kind of cool. Like it's genuine. They're there to get an autograph and maybe sell it on eBay, but they're also really want to meet you, right?
Yes, they do. And people want to talk and share their experiences, and often you get to share a bunch of really human moments with people in a day. That's cool. And that's really nice. Yeah.
Right. Well, Kristen, thank you so much. It's great to catch up with you. Yes, have a great rest of your day. I love Murder in a Small Town. Good. It's on starting on September 26th on Global and Fox. Break a leg, as they say, and all the best. Hope to talk to you again soon. Well, that was Kristin Kreuk, who knew better than I that her new series, Murder in a Small Town, premieres September 24th on Fox and Global. Check out the 90-minute premiere. It's a very engrossing drama. Speaking of drama, thanks to producer Phil Hong, who managed to edit this episode even though he was halfway around the world in Cambodia at the time. Give it up to BJ Del Conte, Paul Boudra, and all the crispy critters, as well as piano man Stephen Dudley, who recorded the music you hear on this podcast. Finally, thanks to you, listener. If you enjoyed this conversation, let us know with a like or a comment at Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Bill Brio. Thanks for listening.